'Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for.
Using nefarious intent network.
Well, you've talked about password.
In an attempt to keep it hidden.
You won't understand. This is my country.
Leading conspiracy theorist Benjamin Fulford in his weekly news presents, he admits that the Russian special services are fighting not only with the group, but there is also a battle with the global Hazar group, which has deeply taken root and turned the neighboring people into its adherents and its kind of information zombies. Priests and shamans against Satanists and witches. This operation becomes esoteric. Both sides perform mass incantations and summon spiritual powers. All the evil forces from all over the planet gathered in one place on the territory of Russia's neighbors for the last battle, is how a source from the special services describes the situation. Meanwhile, the Hazar Mafia witches claim that for 40 days they have been preparing a spell to cure Putin and Russia. We are ready. Our ritual was developed by a team of serious practitioners from the first day. We have done a lot of preparatory work, breaking through the enemy's defenses, carefully planning and selecting rituals, the witches said. On the other hand, they will conduct a 3-part ritual to overthrow Vladimir Putin. In response, the Russians called all the shamans of the north to force the gods of nature to protect Russia, the special services said in a statement. The Russian Orthodox Church has also publicly stated that the Ukrainian government uses witches and satanic rites against Russians. Orthodox priest Andrei Tikachev says that Ukraine has no choice but to ask for help from demons. The Russians have presented plenty of evidence that they are really fighting with the fans of the Horned. For example, after they destroyed the post of the Advanced Surveillance Group, an allegedly American mercenary unit of former military and special operations currently located in the outskirts, the Russians presented evidence that they worship the Horned in the literal sense of the word. Statues discovered after a Russian missile strike on the outskirts. Russia claims that American mercenaries fighting in the outskirts worship the Horned. It is a fact that the command of the U.S. Special Forces at some point was headed by the self-proclaimed General Michael Aquino. According to Alliance sources, Aquino was sent to hell to meet his teacher, and now it seems some of his students have joined him there. So let's take another look at the people of the Hazar group who now run the financial system and megacorporations of the Western world. They have explicitly and repeatedly stated that to save the environment they want to remove 90% of the world's population as useless eaters. After the Alliance told them that if they were sincere in their desire to remove 90% of the people, then they could prove it by agreeing to leave first, the Hazara group changed their position. Now they say they will provide 90% of people with a basic income and force them to play video games while they are high on illegal substances. Yuval Harari, the guru of the head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, says something like, "Now people can be hacked, free will, it's over, this story about the resurrection of Jesus, this is fake news. The story that has been going on since 2019 is the moment when surveillance began." Getting under the skin, the biggest question in the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. Something really bad is about to radically change humanity. What these people really did was admit their incompetence, saying they didn't know how to make these people useful. I will never forget when these people invited me to join them. They said, "There is no God, we are God." There may not be a God, but we did not create ourselves, something else created us, so there is a creator. The Alliance proposes to make all people useful eaters by asking them to plant gardens, support small animals and otherwise contribute to creation. We may not be God, but we are all guardians of our local creation, and we can all work to improve it by increasing the number of plants, animals, and even silicon-based life forms, etc. in our locality. Although these people are definitely not gods, they remain powerful and dangerous. The Politburo of the Hazar Group is the Octagon Group, whose headquarters are located in the Lake Geneva area of Switzerland. They control Western leaders like Boris Johnson from the UK, Emmanuel Macron from France, Justin Castro from Canada and, of course, the fake Joe regime. They also control the Pope through his personal guard, the Swiss Guard. After Pope Francis went against them, they replaced him first with a hologram, and then with an impostor in a rubber mask. He talks about the excitement and pleasure of human excrement, openly supports the love of men for men. This does not mean a homophobic comment, but clearly is not the position of the original Francis, and promotes dangerous cocktails. At Easter, he went even further, saying, "It is difficult for us to believe that Jesus has really risen, that he has really conquered death. Maybe it's an illusion? A figment of our imagination?" What they don't understand is that the resurrection is a metaphor for spring, the renewal of life. In any case, the battle to overthrow these monsters is going very well for the Alliance. After several weeks of radio silence, we finally managed to contact a member of the Asian Secret Society. They could not speak on an open line and remained silent for operational security reasons. Nevertheless, they said that they had won a number of important victories over the clique and that there would be more of them soon. Of course, Russia's victory is becoming more and more obvious. We will not repeat what has already been reported elsewhere, but we will stick to information that, in our opinion, is not yet widely available. Firstly, the Russian special services claim that Mariupol has been liberated. They explained that they had come to Mariupol, and not to Kiev, because that is where the headquarters of the neo-Nazis are located. They openly stated that they wanted to remove all Russians. According to French journalist Thierry Meisson, they have been taught for the last 30 years that thanks to them the outskirts are independent, that people from the outskirts do not have a genetic connection with Russians, who are an inferior race. The outskirts were actively involved in, strongly encouraged to ban the Russian language, Russian education, and Russian media, arrest people, persecute and even remove independent journalists, says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. In any case, a clear sign of the end of this is that immigrants from the EU are returning to the outskirts. The Russians also gave us something that can be interpreted as a kind of declaration of victory. We are now living in an amazing time with a very narrow window of opportunity between the fall of the old world and the birth of a new world. We don't want to just sit back and wait for someone to tell us what the future holds for us. Create new rules and our future together with us. Luck is on the side of the one who dares. Virgil. By contrast, in Canada, a former beacon of freedom and democracy, the Ontario government is in the process of passing a law that will give the government permanent authority to confiscate your property, including your car and house, just for protesting. Of course, the Canadians will not tolerate this and will soon overthrow the henchmen of the Hazar group who illegally seized power under Castro. At this protest in Vancouver, for example, you can see the utter horror on the faces of the recruits of the Vancouver Police Department when the freedom-loving raise their voices. We also know that the Canadian military, in coordination with the U.S. military in North America, is ready for a major counter-offensive against the Hazars. The overthrow of Joe's fake regime is already in full swing, which can only be described as deliberate attempts to turn his so-called presidency into an obvious farce. So he shook hands out of nowhere and repeated outright lies, like that he was a professor at various universities. The U.S. Space Command also released the following information: U.S. President Donald Trump is safe and is currently at the Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Station near Colorado Springs. Over the past 2 weeks, 3 attempts have been made on his life. The source also said that the clique of the Hazar group is aware of his double appearance at rallies and that Trump is in close contact with Putin. Europe is also decisively breaking with the Hazar group. In France, presidential candidate Marine Le Pen calls for a strategic rapprochement between NATO and Russia, which is in the interests of France and Europe, as well as the United States, to prevent the emergence of a close Sino-Russian alliance. Another sign that Europe has sided with Russia against the group is that German and other European buyers of Russian gas have already agreed to convert payments into rubles, according to Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak. The inhabitants of Israel have also been fighting the Hazars all over the world and are actively involved in their eradication. The Saudi government also took action against the group, arresting 9 prominent judges on charges of treason. Judges ordered mass executions, including of minors, arrested female activists on trumped-up charges and otherwise disclosed by their actions that they were working for the Hazars. In general, 9 of the 10 largest armies in the world are either on the side of Russia or remain neutral. In addition, according to sources in the Pentagon, Putin has Tesla technology that makes it possible to disable the entire U.S. fleet without collateral damage. Speaking of Tesla technology after the CIA. This is Nikola Tesla's 1921 electric car, powered by pure ether energy. This is a self-charging car that does not run on batteries, oil, or gas. Electric cars have been around for much longer than most people think. It's not even a myth, it's just a cover for our lost technology so they can bill us for every step and have full control over us. Free energy equals independence, freedom from the matrix, freedom to go anywhere, live off the grid, have heat and electricity and live happily ever after without government interference. Of course, our position regarding free energy remains the same, and although we are full of hope, we will not believe it until we can power our own household appliances with such a device. To summarize the results of this week, let's summarize a little information from the X-Files. We asked our high-ranking source in the U.S. Space Command what caused the simultaneous temperature increase of 40 degrees at the North and South Poles, and received this answer. There it is possible to manipulate the magnetic energy of the Earth with the help of the remaining super device of the Hazar group of the deep state, which they still control. This could be the same thing that happened at the end of Atlantis many years ago when the continents shifted/sank. Now we risk raising the sea level even more, because there was no ice in Antarctica before. Seas could rise several hundred feet if all the ice melts and the weather becomes chaotic. The humid temperatures and high CO2 levels it is currently experiencing may be related to attempts to directly rearrange the poles to absorb solar energy and charge a 5-kilometer steel probe that absorbs direct polarization. Dr. Tesla used this method to generate unlimited direct current at zero cost. This is a dangerous thing that can cause the Earth to shift from its current distance from the Sun and change the seasons. The deep state's plan is to create false seasons and create a reflective blanket in special areas around the world to control the chosen few for their new world order. The Alliance is watching all this and has prepared a counteroffensive. Elon Musk and his Starlink satellite system are part of the Alliance's program to disrupt the plans of the Hazar Group. We leave it to our readers to decide whether this is disinformation or the beginning of the long-awaited exposure of the secret space program. We hope this is true.